Have you ever found yourself nodding along to something just to avoid a disagreement, even though deep down, you didn't quite feel right about it? Maybe someone made a choice for you without really asking what you wanted, and you let it slide. Maybe it was something small, like what to have for dinner. Or maybe it was something bigger, where to live, who to trust with your finances, how to spend your time. And afterward, you sat with that heavy feeling in your chest that whispered, "That wasn't really my choice." If that's ever happened to you, I want you to know, you're not alone. As we grow older, people often assume they know what's best for us. And sure, many times, those people are coming from a good place. They care. They want to help. But there's a fine line between support and control. And you, my friend, still have every right to draw that line. This video is all about you. About the decisions that should always remain in your hands, no matter how old you are. Because while aging may bring changes, it doesn't take away your voice, your value, or your ability to make meaningful choices for yourself. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Together, we'll explore 6 important areas of life where it's vital to stay in the driver's seat. These aren't just decisions, they're reflections of your identity, your independence, and your right to live life on your own terms. Let's start with one of the most personal and powerful things, your daily routine. It might not sound like a big deal at first glance, but think about it. Your routine is the rhythm of your life. It's the way you ease into your mornings, how you spend your afternoons, and what helps you sleep peacefully at night. And yet, this is often one of the first things that others try to change when they think they're helping. Maybe your adult children suggest you get up earlier to be more productive. Or a caregiver tries to get you to switch your meals around. Perhaps a well-meaning friend says you should take more naps, or fewer. The thing is, those suggestions might work for them, but your routine should always be tailored to you. You know your body. You know what energizes you, what calms you down, and how you like to move through your day. I once knew a gentleman who loved starting his mornings by reading the newspaper in his garden. Rain or shine, he'd sit there with his tea, take in the air, and read every word. But when he moved in with his daughter after a hip surgery, she insisted on scheduling everything: breakfast at 7, physical therapy by 8, lunch exactly at noon. She meant well. She wanted to help him recover. But in all that structure, he lost the one thing that grounded him, his quiet time in the garden. Eventually, he spoke up, and they found a compromise. He got his morning back, and she got the peace of mind knowing he was safe. It's a small example, but it reminds us, never let someone take away your rhythm without asking what matters to you first. And speaking of what matters, let's talk about your home, where you live, how it's set up, and most importantly, what makes it feel like home to you. This is a big one, because your living environment affects everything: your comfort, your health, your sense of freedom. Too often, decisions about housing are made without involving the person it impacts the most. Maybe a family member decides it's time for you to move closer to them. Or maybe someone pushes for an assisted living facility before you're ready, assuming it's the safest option. Safety is important, of course. But safety doesn't have to come at the cost of your comfort or identity. Home isn't just walls and a roof, it's your photographs on the mantle, your favorite chair by the window, your kitchen just the way you like it. And yes, sometimes transitions do need to happen. But those choices should never be made for you, they should be made with you. I remember a woman I met at a community event. Her name was Gloria. She was sharp, funny, and fiercely independent. Her daughter had offered to remodel her home so it would be more senior-friendly, but Gloria pushed back. Not because she didn't appreciate the thought, but because the changes didn't reflect what she wanted. The grab bars were helpful, sure, but the hospital-style bed and clinical colors made her feel like a patient instead of a person. So she took the plans and made her own adjustments. The final result? A space that was safe and felt like her own. Cozy, colorful, full of personality. That's what it's all about, making sure your space reflects you, not someone else's idea of what you need. Now let's touch on another deeply personal decision: your medical care. This is one of those areas where people often feel like they have to hand over control. Maybe a doctor speaks in a rush, using big words you don't quite follow. Maybe a family member answers questions on your behalf. Maybe decisions are made before you even have the chance to ask, "What are my options?" Let me be very clear here, you have the right to understand, to ask questions, and to make the final call on what happens with your body. Whether it's a new medication, a test, a surgery, or a treatment plan, you deserve to be in the loop. It's okay to ask the doctor to slow down. It's okay to bring someone you trust to appointments, not to speak for you, but to support you in speaking for yourself. One man I spoke to told me he always carries a little notepad to his doctor visits. He writes down his questions ahead of time and takes notes on the answers. He said it helps him feel like he's part of the conversation, not just a passive patient. That little habit gave him confidence. And that confidence reminded him that his voice matters. Because when it comes to your health, no one knows your body like you do. You've lived in it longer than anyone else. And that's a good place to pause for now. Because when we protect our daily routine, when we speak up about our home, and when we stay involved in our medical care, we're doing more than just setting boundaries. We're standing up for our dignity, our independence, and our right to live life our way. Now that we've covered these important areas, let's keep the momentum going and look at what else you should never let others decide for you, because your voice matters, not just in the big decisions, but in the everyday choices that reflect who you are. And now that we've talked about your routine, your home, and your healthcare, let's move into something just as important: how you spend your time. And I mean your time, your hobbies, your outings, your quiet moments, and your social life. It's easy for others to assume they know what's best when it comes to how we should spend our day. You might hear things like, "You should go out more," or "You should rest more," or "That hobby is too tiring for someone your age." And just like that, without meaning to, people start nudging you away from the things you love. But here's the truth: the way you spend your time should bring you joy, not just fill a calendar. If you love gardening, paint-stained hands and all, then keep planting those flowers. If crossword puzzles give your brain a good stretch, then sharpen your pencil. If a weekly lunch with friends keeps your spirits up, then that's not just fun, that's medicine for the soul. It's your time. And it should be full of things that give you life, not things that just pass the time. I met a gentleman once, Harold, who loved woodcarving. He made little animal figurines, each with their own charm and story. But after a fall, his son told him it was too dangerous, that he should stop. So Harold put away his tools for a while. But something in him dimmed. Until one day, he took them out again, not because he ignored his son's concern, but because he found a way to adapt. He carved while sitting, took extra safety precautions, and kept going at his own pace. His smile came back. His spark returned. And his son? He saw the difference and understood. It wasn't just a hobby, it was a piece of who Harold was. And that's the key: our interests, our passions, our choices, they're not just pastimes. They're part of our identity. No one else can decide what lights you up inside. That brings us to another area where people often start making decisions for us rather than with us: our money. Finances are deeply personal. And while it's smart to have a plan and maybe even a trusted advisor or family member to help manage certain tasks, your money is still your money. You should never feel pressured, rushed, or talked into financial decisions that don't feel right to you. It happens quietly sometimes. A relative suggests you gift money to help with their bills. Someone pushes you to invest in something you don't understand. Or maybe a caretaker starts controlling your purchases, telling you what you should or shouldn't spend money on. And it chips away at your confidence, especially if people start using phrases like, "It's just easier if I handle it," or "You don't need to worry about that." But you do have a right to worry about it. You've worked hard your whole life to build your savings, your home, your stability. And it's okay, more than okay, to protect that. To ask questions. To double-check. To say no. To say, "I'd like to think about it first." Those words are powerful. And so is your gut instinct. One woman I knew, Doris, used to say, "Just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm a pushover." She kept her checkbook balance to the penny, asked her financial advisor to explain every fee and figure, and reviewed every major purchase herself. And she was proud of that. Not because she didn't trust people, but because she trusted herself. And if managing money has become a bit more challenging over time, that's nothing to be ashamed of either. It's okay to ask for help, but it should be on your terms, with people you trust, and with full transparency. You don't hand over the keys to your kingdom without a say in how it's run. Now, let's talk about something that can be even harder to speak up about: your relationships. Who you spend time with, who you love, who you choose to be around. Sometimes, people think they know best here too. They might discourage a new friendship because they think someone is too different, or question a romantic connection because, at your age, you don't need all that. But your relationships are yours. Whether it's a neighbor you've gotten close to, a pen pal across the country, or even someone you've met online. Yes, online dating at any age is a real thing. No one has the right to tell you who you can or cannot connect with. And yes, it's wise to be cautious and safe, especially with new people. But that's not the same as shutting the door to connection altogether. Human connection is vital at every age. It's not just about love or companionship, it's about feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling like your heart still has space to grow. Because it does. It always does. I once spoke with a lovely couple who met in their late 70s. Both had been widowed for years. They met at a poetry reading. He read about loss, she read about hope. And somehow, in that little moment, something sparked. Their families were surprised. Some even disapproved at first. But they didn't let others decide what their hearts needed. And now? They host book nights at their senior center and still write poems to each other. It's the sweetest thing. So whether it's friendship, romance, or even deciding who you want to spend a simple Sunday afternoon with, that choice belongs to you. And the beauty of being older is that you know exactly what kind of people lift you up, and which ones don't. And there's something empowering about reclaiming those decisions, isn't there? Something that reminds us we're not here just to be cared for, we're here to live, to choose, to thrive. These aren't just topics, they're truths. Truths about honoring your rhythm, your voice, your time, your money, your heart. Because when we protect our choices, we protect our joy. Next, we'll dive into something that ties it all together, and we'll talk about what it really means to leave a legacy on your terms. And speaking of joy, there's one more area of life that's often overlooked, but it's incredibly personal, and that's your legacy. Now, I know the word legacy might sound like something big and dramatic, like it only belongs in history books or at the reading of a will. But really, your legacy is simply how you're remembered. It's the mark you leave on the world, on your family, your community, even your friends. And the truth is, only you should get to decide what that looks like. Sometimes, others will try to shape that for you. They might suggest how your possessions should be handled, or tell you how your story should be told. Maybe they pressure you to write a will a certain way or assume you'll pass things down, because that's how it's always been done. But your legacy is more than what you leave behind. It's how you live right now. Do you want to be remembered for your laughter? Your kindness? Your generosity? Then let those qualities lead your actions today. Do you want to pass along a love of music, a recipe that's been in your family for 50 years, or your values around honesty and resilience? Then share those things now, while you're here to talk about them, pass them on, and see how they take root in the lives of others. There's something so powerful about knowing your story is still being written, and that you hold the pen. A woman I met once, Maria, taught me something I'll never forget. She said, "I want to be remembered for who I was, not just what I gave." So, she started a storytelling group at her community center. Every week, people came together to share a memory, big or small, about childhood, love, loss, laughter. Those stories didn't just preserve the past. They connected everyone in the room, helping them see that what matters most isn't always written in a document, it's written in moments. So if there's something you want to say, say it. If there's something you want to leave behind, not just in your will but in someone's heart, don't wait. That's your decision. Your legacy. And no one else should shape it for you. And while we're on the subject of decisions, there's one more that's deeply personal, and that's how you view aging itself. Believe it or not, even your attitude about aging is something others might try to decide for you. You might hear, "You're too old for that," or "You shouldn't be doing that at your age," or even subtle things like, "Let the young folks handle it." But you get to decide what aging means to you. Not a number, not a stereotype, not someone else's limitations. You are not a label. You are a person with wisdom, with layers, with strength, and with the right to keep evolving. You're allowed to try new things. You're allowed to rest when you need to and push forward when you feel strong. You're allowed to age however you choose, with grace, with grit, with humor, whatever suits your soul. Aging isn't a decline, it's a deepening. And you are still you, just with more experience, more stories, and more reason to live life on your terms. I know it can be hard sometimes to hold on to that independence when others around you start stepping in more. And often, it comes from love. They care, they want to help, they want to protect you. But protection should never come at the cost of your voice. And help should never mean losing your say. So what can you do? Start with your words. Use them. Speak up. Ask questions. Say what you want. Say what you don't want. Practice saying, "I'll think about that," or "That doesn't work for me," or simply, "Thank you, but I've got this." Those phrases are like little superpowers. They remind the world, and yourself, that you are still in charge of your story. And remember, it's okay to accept help. In fact, it's smart. But help should feel like a partnership, not a takeover. It should feel like support, not surrender. You've spent decades making decisions, big ones, small ones, messy ones, brilliant ones. You've navigated challenges, created beautiful things, raised families, built careers, faced grief, found joy, and lived through times that many others only read about in history books. That kind of experience? It doesn't make you weaker. It makes you wiser. And you've earned the right to keep making the choices that shape your life. Maybe you'll decide to take that painting class you've always wanted to try. Maybe you'll say no to a routine you've outgrown. Maybe you'll write down your stories or change your mind about how your money is handled. Or maybe, just maybe, you'll remind someone gently, but firmly, that you still call the shots in your own life. And here's the thing. You're not alone. There are so many people, right now, watching this, nodding their heads, realizing that they've let others decide for them in ways big and small. But that can change. Today. Right now. With one clear thought, I still have a say. Because you do. And you always will. If this video spoke to you, if it sparked something inside you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Share your story, big or small. You never know who you might inspire by just being you. And if you found this helpful, take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've got more uplifting, practical, and empowering content just like this. This is your space. A place where your voice matters, your experience matters, and your journey is respected. So here's to living boldly. Here's to standing tall. Here's to holding on to your choices, and celebrating the life you've built, and the one you're still building. You are not done yet. You're just getting started. Here's to living your best life, at any age.